So see if that well, we might be able to make that work tonight. So it's a picture on my laptop of the picture of my screen, or my monitor of my work in progress game stuff. Yeah, so camera roll. So this is what it looks like to try to set up a game. So once you get in there, you've got the browser of each one of those little dots at the bottom. You see like the 5 windows with several dots underneath of it. Each one of those dots is a template that you can use. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 8 times 5. And I think the last one has 1 or 2. So there are 42 templates, which is grossly misleading. The number of games you have is more limited than that, because many of those games are almost identical in some way or another. So like the default landscape game is one of them, and then you have a sides like a space shooter, and like 2 or 3 others that are essentially just landscape, vehicle you can move up and down through the landscape, sideways tunnel. And so it's like distinction between them is not always amazing, but I can when it comes to it, I can show a few more of these. I have, how many did I shoot? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 pictures. I don't know if I can get them to autoplay as a slideshow, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about it. Yeah, so I'm dabbling with it today and getting a sense of what I need to pull off with this. I'm also contemplating my next week's project, I guess tomorrow's project, and what I need to do for the month of June before I head out to California. And once I get out to California, I keep trying to figure out a way to make it possible for me to get to Alaska. I just don't foresee that happening. Or get to Alaska from California and then come back here. Like, it might be possible. I keep wanting to make it possible somehow, but I guess we'll just see what happens. Yeah, so looking at the designs we're working on for the game, keep calling it one game. It's not one game. I mean, that's the intent behind it, is to get the practice run down to the point where I can make one game from them. But these are each going to be standalone games that I can do conversions of. And those conversions, or consolidation is probably the better word. So I can remake them, consolidate them, and assemble them into the finished game that I want to do. So got really hot here today, so I opened all the windows, and I think there's plenty of pollen going on out there. So I'm a little stuffy. My eyes are a little itchy, but I don't think I've ever really had issues with allergies substantially lately, over the last few years. But I'm wondering if I'm starting to feel it. So I'm going to make that first, I guess we could almost call it like a police chase game, a car chase game. So I could do a roadway instead of space. And the roadway, or the car chase game, has the ability to shoot to try to knock out the tires on the car in front of you, the car that you're chasing. And when you can make it stop eventually. Oh, I don't know. That's a little tricky. Maybe if you clip a tire and it keeps driving on the clipped tire, and you clip the other tire, it keeps driving on that one, and then like one more hit should get it to stop. And it'll be weaving through streets, driving up on sidewalks or whatever, and then when you finish it, so like do a practice run of just getting that to work, and then work on doing the opening sequence, like an animated video, the car chase, and then the Book 'em Dano kind of thing at the end, like a cutscene. And then that'll get me practice of segueing from a animation to a game to an animation. And then from there, the next game should be the Whack an Asteroid, where I kind of like playing with the idea of doing it like a weird athletics game, like an Aliens introduced us to this new sport that they play. And the sport that they're playing is a game where you can move up and down on one side of the field. It's almost dodge. Well, I might be able to do it as dodgeball. That would be hilarious. Dodgeball, where you have one guy and your enemies have 6 or 7 guys. Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe 10. But they have cover that they can duck behind. And so they throw a ball, and you can hit the ball back at them. And when you hit the ball, you can aim it to hit another target. And then, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. The third game, I need to look a little more into the Mega Man, but I think what I'm aiming for is, sort of a maze of traps that you have to get through to get to the boss fight. And the boss fight comes down to, you would encounter the villain. You get to the end, and you get through the last trap or barrier, And when you get through that, you shift over to the cutscene animation. And it's in the cutscene that you'll make the choice between catch the villain or save the hostage. So, got that mostly figured out. I think the big issue I'm going to have is, again, shifting between the tanker. Nope, that's not right. There we go. Let's get into there. So, let's see what kinds of games. I think the thing I was struggling with a little bit was my last level, the edible ghost. Let's see if I can pull this image up. See if I can get the cameras to work for me today. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh no, that's the wrong one. There we go. Can we? Okay, so yeah, it's trying to get a picture of a picture. Edible Ghost, the grappling hook chase game. But that one moves under its own power, and as I've played with the template, some of them are default to in motion, and so I may have to go with another format. So there are 43 formats, but let's see, man, I'm yawning all over the place. Zigzag, actually, wall reverse might be one that'll work too. I think that's what they call that. I can't read it all. Because there is one type of game where, like, you have a tunnel that you can move up and down in, and every time you tap the space bar, the character hops an empty space. But I may have to. I'm trying to click the move to the side button in the picture. That's not going to work. So you do have a platformer, and I'm trying to keep clicking the wrong indicator. Platformer, no. No. I mean, there is that's not going to show you anything more useful than what I've already shown you. They're mainly just the choices that you have there. And they're all sort of out of focus because apparently getting the camera to focus on the screen is not the best way to go. I just tried to click regularly at regular intervals. So that's it loading into the game. And then this is, yeah, you can't see the character on the screen, but that's the default game setup. It sets you with that. So I can remove. I can highlight. Come on. Really? Where are we? Come on. We can do this. Trying to see if I can get it to work for me. And you just highlight and you delete them. That's the little character at the bottom of the screen. It's just a little box, little circle. And off to the side there, you can see some of the menus and the shape of the window that you can use. I popped open some of the menus so you can see the character, objects, and interactive features, actions, and then there is that's the character as it appears on the screen, and these are like the sounds of the character, the rotation and motion of the character, and other features that let you affect the character. And then there's a even more things you can do for the character, and then a menu of drop down things where you can do things like bullets and health. So instead of dying when you get hit, it's you have to get hit 3 times before you die, kind of stuff. I'm trying to get a better shot of that character. So you can see on the side there's like that's some of the logic. So there are things like portals and I don't know what to call that. That's the tile in the middle is the world. So what I was showing you right before, was the world that I was adjusting. And you can put 15 scenes in a world or something like that. And then what else you've got on there is the start screen, the end screen, and like a few other, the user interface and a few other things here. So that's like the start screen. That's the user interface. So it's like where you touch to affect something in gameplay. So that was touch to move, and it highlights the whole screen. So if you tap anywhere on the screen, you'll move. But you could change it into a bunch of smaller shapes and even make it so that you have individual buttons. That's the game over screen. So you can even make it so that you have individual buttons and make those buttons the things you have to tap in order to achieve a certain function. So if you want to move left, you can make a small tap here to move left, and then a small tap here to move right. Make the graphics on the front, the world, match that so that those follow you, and then you can tap those like play buttons on a controller. And here's like a image of villains moving around, and they can angle and point and shoot at you. Now the background on that is supposed to be gray, but for some reason it's picking up as white. Is that the last one? That might be the last one in the slideshow. Yep, looks that way. So there's a fair amount of customization that can be done in some of those games. The trick is most people aren't doing that. You can save it as a playable in Windows. Yeah, basically you export it. You don't save it. Like you can save it as an in-progress BuildBox game. You export it, and that's the thing that's one of the interesting aspects of BuildBox was, do I even have it open? BuildBox. Okay, so go over to BuildBox, pull it up. I think they just released the finished version of the new updated version of 3.0. Okay, so pricing. Okay, so pricing on that is so, and the additional export options are not available for the cheap version, but it does have Windows export and mobile export. So at the cheapest version, you can export to a playable in a mobile device and a Windows device. But you don't have additional options. Advanced export options include Steam, Mac App Store, Windows Store, Amazon devices, Store, Apple TV, Itch.io, and more. Whereas Windows export to Windows exe format and share your games with friends on their computer is available on the cheapest format. The one that gives you one world, 15 scenes, I think. Customizable loading screen. The Indian Pro version have fully customizable loading screens. The Plus version comes with a co-branded loading screen with the logo, your logo, and build boxes. So your cheap version, if you create a game, the loading screen for the game is going to have build boxes information on it. Whereas if you do the indie version, you don't have to deal with that. And the indie version gives you the ability to export to all those other types of formats. But the Plus version, and these are the prices that I'm getting for it right now, $99, $199, and $299. And the Pro version is the only one with unlimited worlds that you can work on and unlimited scenes per world. The indie game has 3 worlds and 45 scene limit. The Plus version, the cheap one, the starter level, is 1 world, 15 scenes. You can do a lot with that, actually. And honestly, I keep going back to, it's always fun to sit here and talk about the ideas and thoughts I have while I'm working on these things, because you probably saw last night when I was talking about some of this that I was sort of like thinking, like, I want to set it up so that it's the hero's dilemma. You either catch the villain and it's like, and it hit the back of my brain at that time. Like, I had originally set it up where, like, oh, everybody should, try to save the hostage. That's just the way the game story is supposed to go. But if I'm going to set up a scenario in which we're going to have the hero's dilemma, I don't want to force it into that role. Set it up so no matter which way you go, the character goes into the next level. It's only the object they're trying to retrieve that changes based on the choice you make in the get the villain or get the hostage. And like, I hadn't thought that I might be able to do that. It wasn't even something like, can I do that? It wasn't even on my mind to try to achieve that until I mentioned it. And so one of the things I've been thinking about as I play around with doing this is my usage of BuildBox ends in September at the level I'm using right now, which is the indie. Now, I'm debating, I might opt to go for that $100 a year for the Plus level and use that to create a bunch of one world scenes for a bunch of little games. Maybe even 1 month do a whole, like, make a game a day for a month. And they'd all be one world, 15 scenes or less, using, I think I said there are like 42 templates. So I could conceivably do one of each template essentially in a month. I might just settle for a week. See how we do on a week first. But do 7 one world games and create those games and share them by the end of the week. Or maybe even if I could pull it off daily, that would be hard. Like, it's get up, spend 12 hours working on a game, see if you can finish a game in that time period, and then release it that evening. That would be pretty impressive. That would be hard to do. But you can do that with the Plus version. And when I was talking the other day about how I could do, I could play around with making bigger and more interesting games. Because, like, the games I can do right now, I can do a maximum of 3 worlds. And if I'm using a world for a cutscene, most of my ideas for the games that I want to produce, I can't do. I have to, dish out for the 1 year of, or I'd have to dish out for the Pro version. And the Pro version is like $800 for the year. 900. Yeah, it's almost $800 for the year. If you do 1 month, I believe it's like $100 to $200. So let's see, build box. Build box. I keep going back to it to just check that out again every time. Pricing. That pricing looks different. Let me pull it up on this one. I'm wondering if they've just changed something. Build box. Okay, so build box. Because I don't think that's the information it gave me the other day when I was talking with you about it. Pricing. That's weird. They have changed their pricing model. Choose a plan. $200, $299 for a year for the Pro version. That's not bad. I don't know that I would use the whole year for that. $99 a year for the Plus. So what I was thinking was, what I'd do is finish where I am right now by, I think, early to mid-September is when it would run out. And when it runs out, I'll have potentially built a bunch of individual components that I can assemble into a larger world. So the Pro version having unlimited worlds with unlimited scenes is useful to me, but not enough to necessarily justify the cost of a full year of Pro. I'm not seeing an option right now anymore for a monthly membership. But if they did a monthly membership again, which they've done it in the past, And that's the thing, is like, you're getting the same creator at Plus that you're getting at Pro. They just capped how much you can do with the Plus version. All fetters are off in the Pro version. In the Indie version, which is in the middle, they give you more worlds and more scenes that you can do, but they still cap you on that. But they've unlocked the other features, which are the additional export options and the customizable loading screen on the Indie level. So at my current level, any games that I produce don't have anything to market as a build box game in it. At the Plus level, the small level, it's going to say like built with build box on the startup screen, and it's going to, it's going to limit me to exporting in a mobile format and a Windows XEX. The mobile format includes iOS, Android, iPad, Android phones, and Android tablets. So that does a fair amount. I mean, if I can do it in Windows and in mobile platforms, that's good. That'll do what I need to do. But I currently have the level that doesn't have those limitations, just the limitations of only 3 worlds and 45 scenes. That runs out on September. Now, I could theoretically, and from what I understand, you can upgrade at any time for additional paying. So I could do the Plus level after September and build one world games to get the templates built. I believe the ownership, when you do a game with it, do you have 100% of the rights and ownership profits? Yeah, my understanding, and part of the reason I signed up for this one rather than a few of the others, was I did notice that there were like restrictions on what you could do with others, but this one, and anything you, it has some frequently asked questions at the bottom of this screen. So, can I cancel or change my subscription? Yes, all Build Box subscriptions can be canceled, upgraded, or downgraded at any time by emailing support. I don't know how fast or easy that process is. Are games I make with Build Box royalty free? Yes, Build Box never takes a portion of the revenue you receive from your games. Everything you make is yours. And so that was one of those things where, like, this seems to me like at any level that I create these games, these are going to be mine. I can upgrade or downgrade at any time, or even cancel if it's not to my liking. If this new pricing arrangement is what they do from now on, like, I'm pretty sure the other day I was talking to you and I checked out this thing. It had a slider on the side that let you choose between paying monthly and paying yearly. And the yearly price was prohibitively expensive. But within the last 3 days, I've gotten a notice from them telling me that version 3 just came out. And within that time frame, it looks like they've changed their pricing arrangement. It also looks like, oh, see, now that's got to be a question from my mind here. They've drastically changed in version 3 how that works. Because this is them building in version 3. And that's not how I build in the one I'm building in right now. And so that's a very different type of gameplay, and it's a whole different type of thing that you produce from that. And you can do 2D game levels, but here we go with the demo of what you can do for the 2D game design. You're still building in 3D. "2D art," but you're building it as a 3D frame of reference. So little facades that you stack up, and that's a very different gameplay style. The one I've been playing with doesn't work that way. So I'm not sure what that pricing is for, if that's for version 2 or version 3. If that's for version 3, like any games I build using version 2 right now, they're not going to translate over into version 3. So when I figure out how to do the games the way I'm doing them right now, I won't be able to do my little hack where I can say, like, build 10 different little mini games and then get the full pro membership for a little while and just string my mini games together inside of it, because my mini games are all in version 2. I won't be able to string them together in version 3, because version 3 is an entirely different way to do that. I have to go see what my current membership will offer me the chance to do, because the changes to this setup right now theoretically can make it like, I only have the ability to build in 3 world pieces and (45 scenes, 42 scenes or something like that. 45. And only what I can build, like, unless they let me continue to access version 2 point something or other for cheap. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. All right. That makes it tricky. So if I'm ever going to build like right now, I'm at the indie level. I can't build more than 3 worlds, 45 scenes. Both of the games that I'm working on require more than that. So I would have to upgrade to the pro version. But if I upgrade to the pro version, I might be getting just the pro version of 3.0. And the pro version of 3.0 doesn't let me upgrade the games that I built in 2.0. That's a little disheartening. Unless they let me continue to work in 2.0. Let me log in and see if I can do something with that. Okay, full email address. So that, and then okay, so that was not my password. Okay, that was my password. Okay, so there we go. billing license. Okay, so my billing says I'm paid up through the 4th of September. Oh. And then licensing, I have access to BuildBox 2.0 and 3. So I can play around with 3 if I wanted to right now. So status active, expires never. Seats system registered 1 of 2. All right, so walk in it in the sound, lighting, etc. of your choice. What is this? Active Worlds? Is this a game? Sounds like there was a game a while back. It's a Second Life or something like that. It sounds sort of like Minecraft too. Minecraft kind of took over in that open sandbox format where you can build and then travel and adventure in where you build. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep going with what I'm doing right now and make the proto versions of the levels for the game that I want to make, and then see if I can upgrade to a pro level of BuildBox 2.0 for a month and consolidate the pieces into a larger game. Wow, okay, yeah, that's tricky. And then I may look to see what I could do with BuildBox 3.0, because I'm assuming at this point, based off of what I've seen, that the building environment for 3.0 looks very different. But if the abilities to affect things are in relatively the same way, so if like in 3.0 when I'm building a game like I was building, you have the character art and you have the object art and their function or a certain sort of thing. If that's all the same, then I may be able to carry forward with 3.0. But I'm also curious to see what additional capabilities 3.0 offers me. All right, so I think I'm going to call it here. We're 45 minutes into tonight. Tomorrow is the first day of health and well-being category of live content. It's the first time I do one of these, I think. And I'm going to I'm working on basically thinking about this next week as a planning, figuring out how to go forward with that category as a live content. So what I'm going to try to do is figure, like, for when I do things like eat this diet, see how it does, I kind of want to get some testing from my doctor done. And then I want to do, I kind of like when I do eat this for a month and see what that's like. Do this exercise routine for a month and see what that's like. I want to be able to say, like, I want to try a carb heavy diet, a fat diet like a keto diet, or a protein heavy diet, and compare, just like, if you move your diet to be carb dominant, fat dominant, or protein dominant for a month, you want to do I want to do something like like equal numbers of calories for each, and then sort of be able to report on, like, if I eat 1,000 calories of carbohydrate versus 1,000 calories of fat, which one makes me feel full and which one leaves me hungry all day. But also see how the body reacts to a carb heavy diet versus a fat based diet. I kind of already know some of those things, but to be able to establish a baseline where you get all the same nutrients, you get all the same caloric intake, you get the same fitness level, that you're at the exercise level, activity level for each of those chunks of time, so that it is an accurate comparison between the three categories for my body type and my genetics. So the only variable at that point, for the most part, would be the diet or the exercise routine that I'm doing, depending on which one I'm focusing on that time. And so I need to figure out potentially a baseline diet that I do. So if I'm doing a fitness routine on a given week, this is your baseline diet. It gets you all the nutrients you need. It gives you these number of calories. This is your baseline. This will be what you do every time you do one of these exercise routines. And then this is your baseline fitness activity level, and your baseline nutrients that you make sure you get all your vitamins and minerals. And those are your baselines for all the diets. So, like, do a smoothie every morning that gets all the nutrients I need. And then the rest of the day is it a carb week or a carb month, a fat month, or a protein month? And I'm debating whether or not I'm going to go like hardcore and see if I can order from companies that I can get, like vitamin C powder and vitamin A liquid, and measure those out to get exactly what I need, because I can get them from Whole Foods, but that's going to be easily half my caloric intake, probably 2/3 of my caloric intake each day. And that means that it's not going to be a carb dominant diet for the caloric bulk. So I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do for some of that, because I think that would be a fun series to do. So many people are like, oh, if you want to lose weight, it's just calories in versus calories out. I have enough experience with how my body responds to different types of foods to know that's BS. Like, I can literally, and I think, like, after doing all the sauces that I did, there was a fair amount of carbohydrate involved with eating them, and there was a fair amount of salt, and there was a fair amount of it wasn't high calorie, but it most definitely caused me to put on about 10 to 12 pounds 2 days after I finished off everything in that set of food items, I had some caffeine, which is a diuretic. I've lost that 10 pounds in 2 or 3 days. Now, if I had continued to eat those foods on a regular basis, that additional 10 to 12 pounds of water weight, which it has to be water weight at that point, would be maintained and kept on me. Now, over the long term, it might also increase and creep up my weight. So I would probably continue to gain and gain enough that, I would be increasingly weighing more, which for me, I'm a thin enough person that it's not a huge issue. But yeah, I can probably talk about more of this tomorrow. It's the first day of a week of figuring out the structure and design of my fitness routines and my eating routines and my mental health routines and the baselines that I need to go to for each one of them, and potentially figuring out what kind of testing or measuring I want to do before I do that. So that'll be tomorrow. We are sort of officially done with the game design week. I will continue to work on my games because I need to finish them before September. But I will see you tomorrow, I guess. We're coming up on 53 minutes. So talk to you tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Have a good night. All right, so there we go. Where's the end button? There it is. I know you're not paying attention, are you? Come on, there we go.